Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another Timey-Wimey Tuesday with the next exciting installment of the Doctor Who DVD Disambiguation. So this time around, we'll be taking a look at Season 17 of the classic series, which covers the 1979 to 1980 series. Yes, this is our farewell to the 70s, my personal favorite era of the series, and we're entering into the 80s, which is a very... amongst the fan base, the 80s seem to be very hit and miss. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, a lot of people are indifferent about it. I guess we'll talk more about what I think of it sort of as we go through those. So that'll be starting in the next episode where we get properly into the 80s era. So for now, we're wrapping up the 70s with... the season that follows the epic Key to Time saga, which we talked about last time. So we got 6 more stories, or do we have 5? What do I mean by that? Well, let's find out as we continue the Doctor Who DVD Disambiguation, Season 17, today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, so this season was Graham Williams' last season as producer. He took over from Philip Hinchcliffe back in season 15 and produced seasons 15, 16, and 17. This was also Douglas Adams' last season as script editor, and he had some pretty cool contributions to this season. Gotta love Douglas Adams, the author of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, for the one or two of you who don't know. Just one of the most brilliant sci-fi comedies ever written, and he brought a lot of that sort of quirkiness to his script editing and the scripts that he wrote for the series. So he did some pretty cool stuff. All right, so let's take a look here. So as per usual, we've got 6 stories, got 5 4-parters followed by a 6-parter, kinda, to round out the season. Alright, so starting things off, we have the long-awaited return of everybody's favorite pepper pot killing machines with Destiny of the Daleks. Yeah, so this is the first Dalek story since Genesis of the Daleks, way back in Season 12, so they had been off our screens for quite some time. So they were long overdue for a return. Fan opinion of this one seems to be kind of mixed. I always enjoyed it. I don't think it's the greatest Dalek story ever, but I think it's perfectly serviceable. We, of course, have Davros back, played by the always awesome Michael Wisher, and I do believe this is his last appearance as Davros as well. And also notable in that at the very beginning of this story, Romana, played by the lovely Mary Tamm in the previous season, actually regenerates. Not because she's dying or anything, but just because she feels like it. That seems like kind of a waste of a regeneration to me, but okay, hey, it's your body, do with it what you will. And she regenerates into Lalla Ward, who we last saw in the finale of the previous season as Princess Astra, in the Armageddon Factor. So I guess Lalla Ward made such an impression in her performance in that story that they invited her to come back when Mary Tamm didn't want to carry on. So very cool. So we got Lalla Ward making her debut as Romana II, or Romana II, as it were. So very cool. Anyway, it's a decent little Dalek story. You've got humanoid robots called the Movellans, who are basically battling it out with the Daleks and stuff like that. So pretty cool. I like it. A lot of people don't. Well, that's their problem, not mine. Alrighty, so next up we have definitely a fan favorite and just a hoot of a story. We've got The City of Death. Yeah, now this one's notable, and it's one of the few that they actually went outside of Britain to film. They actually filmed this on location, well, the location footage anyway, they did on location in Paris. Yes, they actually go to Paris in this. How cool is that? And lots of beautiful scenery there. So basically, and this is a great time travel story too, because it's about this alien that he's kind of due to a mishap when he was trying to escape his people or something. It's been a while since I've watched it, but the gist of it is something happened and his essence was splintered through time. So he keeps appearing in all these different time periods, and he can disguise himself and whatnot to look human. So the Doctor and Romana have to figure out what's going on. But this is a great story. Lots of lots of fun. It's got some great sort of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbliness as far as the jumping back and forth through time to figure out what's going on. It's got some great humor in it. This one's actually co-written by Douglas Adams, and you can definitely see that. It even has a cameo appearance by John Cleese in it. Yes, John Cleese has an unforgettable, if very brief, cameo in this, and it's just a delight to see him show up. I always thought he would be great as the Doctor, or as Arthur Dent, actually. John Cleese as Arthur Dent, just the manicness of that character. Anyway, City of Death is a wonderful, wonderful story, and as always, we are just loaded to the gills with extras here. This really got the deluxe treatment as well, because it's such a fan favorite. We actually have 2 discs of content on here, which is fantastic. Yeah, Destiny of the Daleks, I should just show you here. Just a plain Jane single disc. There we go. But as always, lots of extras as well. Yeah, as I always say in these, eventually I will do individual DVD releases of these. That's going to be like a multi-years long project. So for now, it's just kind of what order do they go in. Next up, I always liked this one just for its simplicity, and it's just kind of a fun little romp. We have The Creature from the Pit, and that's what they actually name those things in the story. It's like, well, we call it The Pit, and then there's a creature in it. Well, what do you call the creature? We call it The Creature. And the Doctor says, wow, you have such a way with words. It's just, even the Doctor recognizes the kind of ridiculousness. But I actually always liked this one. I don't know, it's simple, it's fun, it's got some good kind of scary moments, and yeah, I like it. Not much more I can say about that. And it takes place on an alien planet. We don't always see alien planets, but it's always a delight when we do. So we got lots of extras on there as well. And yeah, kind of shades of this actually kind of gives me a similar vibe to that episode of the original Star Trek series, The Devil in the Dark, with the Horta. It's very similar here, where the creature in this can kill you just by touching you. And there's a scene much like in Devil in the Dark where Spock mind melds with the Horta to find out what's going on. The Doctor kind of mind melds with the creature in this to find out what's going on. And that's a very nice little story. Actually, I like that one a lot. In fact, for all I know, The Devil in the Dark may have been a partial inspiration for this, because there is a lot of similar elements to it. So there you go. All right, next up we have another one that I really like. Fans are kind of mixed on this season and just the Graham Williams era in general. While the first couple, the first season that he did was kind of shaky. Key to Time was overall really good. And this season, actually, I think is overall really good. And this is another one that I actually really enjoy. And we have The Nightmare of Eden. Yeah, so this one takes place on a spaceship. Some pretty cool creatures there, the mandrills. And, yeah, just, I don't know, really, really fun story. Kind of a murder mystery, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's basically a murder mystery in space. And I do enjoy a good murder mystery, and I enjoy things set in space. So there you go. Very nice, and loaded with extras as usual. So, yeah, it's been a long time since I've watched these, so my recollection is, oh, well, look at how shiny that case is. It's like crazy. Oh, you can see my ceiling fan. Almost looks like the time vortex at the beginning of the first through third Doctor's eras. It's crazy. I have a time vortex in my hand. Oh, that kind of spoils the illusion. There, we'll just go like that. There we go. Woo! All right. Anyway, carrying on. Oh, I'm going to give you the story numbers. Bad me. That's kind of the point of these, isn't it? We start with story number 104, Destiny of the Daleks. 105, City of Death. Get this. This is such a good one. You will have an absolute blast. Story 106, The Creature from the Pit. And story 107, The Nightmare of Eden. Next up, we have... I remember this one scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. Looking at it now, it's honestly kind of cheesy and kind of over the top, but I still enjoy it. We have The Horns of Nimon, which is kind of a sci-fi spin on the old Minotaur legend. Pretty cool stuff. I always liked the Nimon itself, the villain in this. I thought the creature design of it was pretty cool, like the head and everything. Yeah, just good fun. There's another one that takes place on a spaceship, actually. So a lot of stuff not taking place on Earth in this season. So that's one thing I got to give Graham Williams props for, is not setting anything on Earth. In fact, I think the only one that's been set on Earth so far in this batch is City of Death. This is an alien planet. This is Earth. This is an alien planet. This is a spaceship. This is a spaceship. And then finally we go back to Earth for the last story of the season, or rather, it would have been the last story of the season because there was a strike right in the middle of production, and where a few seasons back when they did the Invasion of Time, there was a strike and they were able to finish up what they needed to finish up by going on location. In this case, that just wasn't possible. They had done all the location stuff and I guess didn't have any more budget for more location footage, so they couldn't do that as an option. They needed at least a couple more days of studio time to finish it all up. Sadly, the strike went on just a bit too long, and they were not able to get the studio time, and the story was never finished. I'm, of course, talking about the now infamous story, Shada. Yes, so this was to have been the epic 6-part story to finish off the season, and not only that, but the swan song of both Graham Williams, who this was his last story as producer, and Douglas Adams, who wrote this story, and was also stepping down as story editor for the series. He had been story editor for the past couple seasons. So it's very unfortunate that this was never completed, because honestly the story is great, and it would have been a wonderful send-off for both of them. Now, you may be thinking, well, okay, if it was never completed, how are you holding it in your hand? And in a 3-disc special edition, no less. Well, very good reason for that. This story has become kind of notorious, and I should mention here in the DVD set, they do include it in the numbering. So I actually do consider this story canon. I don't think it conflicts with anything in the stories that follow. So I see no reason to not include it in the canon. So going forward, the numbering includes this as story number 109. So just so you know, the numbering going forward will be including Shada in the overall numbering. But this is a great story. It takes place partly on Earth, partly in space, and is essentially the plot of an evil alien to what is he looking for? Shada is the lost prison planet of the Time Lords, which contains a whole bunch of different monsters and creatures and villains from across time and space, a lot of which we would have recognized. There's going to be like Daleks and Cybermen in there and stuff like that. And it was going to be a pretty cool, bit of fan service in there, wrapped up in a pretty darn good story. But sadly, it was never completed. So, how are we holding it in our hands? Well, back in, I believe it was 1992, they put out a VHS release, which I'll show you. It looked like this. Yes, the long-lost story. Now, the cool thing about this VHS release was basically they pulled together all the footage that they had completed. Now, prior to that, all we had ever seen in terms of actual footage from Shada was a few clips of Tom Baker and Lalla Ward as, the Doctor and Romana, punting down the Thames in location footage that had been shot for Shada, that was used to at least have some kind of appearance of the Fourth Doctor in the Five Doctors 20th anniversary special, which we'll get to a few seasons from now. I guess 3 seasons from now. Because Tom Baker didn't want to participate in it, so for whatever reason. I think it's because he felt it was too soon after he had already stepped down from the role. He didn't want to kind of overshadow the new guy, which we'll get to when we get to him. So they just kind of pulled some of the location footage from Shada out of the vaults and slotted that in kind of clumsily to have him appear in some form. In that case, it was kind of a benefit that story had never been seen, because they could drop that footage in and it would be new Tom Baker stuff that nobody had ever seen. So anyway, so finally, 1992, we actually got to see all that was ever completed of Shada. Now, all the location footage was done, and a good chunk of studio footage was done, but there was still quite a lot missing. I mean, if we were to take a look at the actual running time, does it even say? 110 minutes. Yeah, so there was still about, if it had been completed, there would have been about 30 additional minutes, 30 or 40 additional minutes of material there. So there was still quite a lot they had to film. So what they did was they took all that had been completed and had Tom Baker himself, Doctor Number 4, provide linking narration to fill in the gaps in the story. So we at least got to see everything that had been completed, and then had the Fourth Doctor himself narrate the story for us. Now, a few years later, they revisited Shada as an Eighth Doctor adventure. And they actually had Paul McGann as the Eighth Doctor, Lalla Ward as Romana, had K9 back, and they kind of treated it as, it was done as an audio adventure and also as a flash animation miniseries. So they treated it as the Doctor was like, I feel like there's a piece of my past missing, and it's like, do you remember we went to Cambridge and punting down the Thames and stuff like that, Romana? And she's like, no, I don't think so. And it's like, I think we were going to go. And she said, I think we were going to go there. And he's like, I think we did go there. And it's like this big mystery, like some piece of his past has been. So they kind of took the fact that it had never been completed and worked that into the story. Sort of like it was an adventure that the Doctor may or may not have had, but forgot or something. So that version is included on the DVD. It also includes the nicely remastered version of the compilation that was released on VHS back in the day. But it doesn't end there. There has also been a novelization of Shada, presenting the full, complete, uncut story. There has also been Ian Levine, actually, Doctor Who superfan and recoverer of many lost episodes, actually commissioned an animation company to do much like how the lost episode, many of the lost episodes have been animated with the original audio tracks. Well, he commissioned an animation company to do new animation to fill in the story gaps for Shada, and actually got hold of the entire original cast of Shada minus Tom Baker. So he got everybody together, all the original actors together, to do the voices from the original scripts, and they did all the scenes that had never been completed 20 plus years ago, and put it all together in animated form and slotted it in between the completed bits. And they had an actor who did pretty much a bang-on impersonation of Tom Baker doing the voice of the Fourth Doctor. Apparently, originally, the plan was... So, I mean, he funded this all himself and put it all together himself. So, big kudos to Ian Levine for that, for actually finishing Shada for us. Like, thank you so much, Ian. That's fantastic. Now, that version has never been released officially. It was leaked a while back, and you can find it online if you look around. I don't know if it was leaked by Ian himself or what the story was, but apparently originally why that was done was he wanted to put it together and then pitch it to the BBC and the Doctor Who restoration team to be included on the Shada DVD set. Like, how awesome would that have been? And for all intents and purposes, it should have been included, in my opinion. I absolutely think it should have been included, because I have seen it, and it is fantastic. It is superb. I think it is the definitive presentation of Shada, because for the first time ever, we actually have an on-screen, complete version of that story. And I think that they did a fantastic job. So big kudos to everybody involved in doing that reconstructed version of Shada. I wish that we would see some kind of an official release of it, because I think it's just superb. Absolutely superb. It's easily on par with the other animated reconstructions that we've seen. and it's excellent. But anyway, that said, we do have this, and we've got tons of extras on here. We've got the we got the Big Finish version, which is the audio version I described with the Eighth Doctor and Lalla Ward. That was done in 2003. We've got the VHS version that was done in 1992, and just tons and tons of extras. We've even got, actually, one of the reasons this is a third disc is we also have More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS, which is a 1993 anniversary documentary about the 30th anniversary of Doctor Who. It was originally a TV special called 30 Years in the TARDIS, and then they released it on VHS and called it More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS because they included a lot of additional footage, about 30 minutes, I think, of additional footage that was not in the televised version. Well, that's the version that's on here, so pretty cool. And this Disambiguation episode has gone on really long, but understandably, I needed to say a lot about Shada because it's been one of the big kind of, mysteries of Doctor Who for a very long time. So, despite not being completed back in 1979, we can see 3 different takes of it, 2 of which are on the DVDs, the third of which you'll have to find yourself. But, yeah, great stuff. So, to sum up, we have story number 104, Destiny of the Daleks, 105, The City of Death. Get The City of Death, it's freaking amazing. Story 106, The Creature from the Pit, 107, The Nightmare of Eden, or Nightmare of Eden, 108, The Horns of Nimon, and finally 109, Shada, which also includes More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS. So, great stuff, a great end to the 70s, actually, some really terrific stories here. And ones, stuff like Creature from the Pit, Nightmare of Eden, Horns of Nimon, they're not particularly deep stories with layers of social commentary, but they're fun. They're just fun adventures in time and space with, some cool monsters and over-the-top villains, and they're just really enjoyable. I actually really like this season as a whole, and always have. Yeah, good stuff. Alrighty. I'd just like to take a quick moment to thank my Patreon sponsors. So thank you, Patreon sponsors. You are awesome. You are helping to make all of this happen, and I really appreciate the support. Special big thanks to Kyle Pellegrini and Get Your Gorgeous On, the awesome e-mag about everything, run by Michelle O'Toole and Simon Hedger. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for the support. Yeah, please do consider becoming a Patreon sponsor because every little bit helps, even if it's just $1 a month. It's like $12 a year out of your pocket to help make the Multimedia Chronicles bigger, better, faster, stronger, and more frequent. Alrighty, that is it from me to you for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara. Got 5 4-parters followed by a 6-parter, kinda, to round out the season.